Matt. It's good to see you, mate. It's been a while since I've been on the channel, but a lot's gone on at Sutton. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well. Good to see you again. It's been a long time, but no, all good. Thanks, mate.
Fantastic. Let's start with, obviously, the season so far. We obviously a very different season, unique to the ones we've been used to for quite a while now, particularly with the pandemic. A lot of challenges for Sutton. Matches getting called off, players having to train a little differently, adapt to what they're used to during a football season. Speak to me about how you've seen it so far and what has made you pleased with the club and what's not been so great about Sutton so far.
Yeah, it's certainly been a different start to what we used to, with already 2 Saturdays spare at this early stage of the season. I think we're 6 weeks in now. Only played 5 league games, 1 cup game, 6 in total. So that's sort of unheard of in the first 6 weeks of any normal season. So then now with Lynn on Saturday and possibly Wrexham, the cancelled game recently being put in the next month, we could potentially be going into 9 games in a month. So from suddenly being a little bit stop-start up until now, it's certainly going to be thick and fast in the next month. With, as I say, potentially 9 games, which is a hell of a lot of to ask for any squad, let alone ours and clubs at this level. But it's got to be done. It's where we are. I'm certainly not moaning. I'm really pleased we're carrying on. I'm pleased we're still training. We're still playing. We're still being able to do our job. So yeah, certainly not moaning about that situation. And but as you say, it is very unique in terms of the fluidity of the season so far.
Talk to me about, obviously, before we get onto the on the pitch matters, the fact that obviously we're now at the time of this interview, we are in the lockdown. We are still with the National League as a league continuing the season, whereas other clubs will be having challenges, just as non-league clubs have participated in the FA Cup that can train but can't play. How have you managed to adapt training with the first team, and particularly with the uncertainty of the pandemic? How have you managed to keep them as fit as possible with the lack of game time available?
I was very pleased from day one of pre-season, the fitness levels of the players, and we're a fit group anyway. So I was very pleased with the pre-season minutes and the majority of minutes into the players. There was a few injuries and a few that didn't get what I'd maybe have liked to during that period. But overall, a very pleasing pre-season. To then hit the ground running into the league campaign, as I've touched on earlier. A couple of Saturdays and weekends off, if you like, which I have given the players the weekend off, knowing that we're going into busy periods coming up. We arranged a friendly with Ebbsfleet Friday morning, give some of the squad players some valuable minutes as well. So other than Kobe Rowe, who unfortunately picked up a very nasty injury at Yeovil in our last game, he's now back home recovering after a week in hospital and a severe tear to his kidney. So he's constantly being monitored and seeing a specialist. I know he's seen a specialist back up in London this week, and he's due for constant scans and another specialist appointment early December. He's going to be out for a considerable amount of time. Exactly what that is yet, we don't exactly know, because it's still very early days with the injury. So it's a huge blow to us with Kobe, because he came back in real good shape for pre-season. He'd worked really hard in the off-season. And he got his place into the team in pre-season, continued into the season, and was one of the outstanding performers. So it's very disappointing to see another young signing that we've made who's broken into the team, unfortunately, have to miss out for a really serious injury. So we wish Kobe well. The only other injury we've got in the squad is, unfortunately, Ben White's picked up a metatarsal injury that he's going for a scan tonight. We should know the results in the next 24, 48 hours. Of exactly what that is, but I'd imagine he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. And again, another a good young prospect for us, and a player who's, since he came to the club, has broken into the team and done very, very well. So there are 2 injuries where we're at, but the overall fitness of the squad is very good. Louis John's now back fit. Ben Goodliff has got some more minutes into him. So I've got good options, in every position, albeit with a small squad, but I've got very good flexibility. And competition in all places. and I'm going to have to use that, as I've said earlier, with this busy period of games coming up, and I'm going to have to use every member of the squad wisely to keep it fresh and hopefully keep the results coming.
Very good. It's very sad to hear that we're missing Ben and Kirby during this period of time. We wish them well, obviously, as you do. But I'm assuming that will now mean a sustained run at fullback for some players as well. So chances for them to shine in the absence of probably two of your best players so far this season.
Yeah, well, Rob Milson initially signed, obviously played a lot in his career as a centre midfield player, but initially signed as a left back and did very well until a few injury problems saw him out of the team before Christmas last year, around the time that Ben White came to the club. So Rob Milson, I've got an option there. Aaron Simpson, who can play either side, fullback, also gives me an option to even maybe push Rob back into midfield. John Barden, obviously, and Craig Eastman can play anywhere, can't he? So I could always use that option if I needed to as well. So as I said, I've got good flexibility in those positions as well as I have everywhere else.
Excellent. So let's talk about the on the pitch matters so far this season. It started very well. 3 wins from 3 in the National League. Wins over Weymouth, Aldershot and Maidenhead on the opening day. Fluctuated a little bit with a defeat to Notts County, but I'm sure, and you made it quite obvious in our post-match interview a few weeks back against Bromley, that you were not best pleased with the way the game went on that day. Responded brilliantly with a win away at Yeovil before the Wrexham game was called off because of issues in Wales and the lockdown over there. So on the pitch, it's been a good start. You're still in the playoff spots at this time of the season. Obviously, it's a long way to go till the real judgment is made, but how impressed are you with the way the season's gone out so far?
Yeah, I've said in previous interviews how pleased I was with the second half of the season. We've managed to carry that into pre-season, an unbeaten pre-season, and then hit the ground running in the league. The worst performance or half really was the first half against Bromley, and it's the reason we went out of the cup, and I said that at the time. We didn't play well that 45 minutes, and that was very disappointing. That we performed that way because that wasn't like us. We responded a little bit second half and had chances to maybe get back into the game, but unfortunately we couldn't take those. But in the league form overall, 4 wins and 1 defeat, and the 1 defeat coming at home to Notts County, who are an extremely good side. They're having their problems at the moment with COVID and a few injuries, and very much stop-start them as well. And there'll be no doubt that they'll get going and string a few results to go, and they'll be challenging at the top end of the table without a shadow of a doubt. And it was a very tough and hard-fought game that night, and the least we deserved was a point. A point for both teams would have been fair, but unfortunately that wasn't to be on the night. We made an error in the 94th minute, and that's cost us. And unfortunately, we should be sitting on a point more. But that's the way it goes. I'm sure there'll be other managers in the league saying a similar sort of thing. So we responded well after the defeat of Bromley with a great performance and result away at Yeovil. As you said, the Wrexham game got called off. Which was disappointing for us because we were really looking forward to continue that momentum and going to Wrexham. But now we've had 2.5 weeks off, which we have worked the players hard. We've given them rest periods. We've had a pre-season friendly. We had a friendly in there as well, gearing us up into Kings Lynn and Dagenham on Tuesdays to 2 home games, and as I said, into a busy period.
Very good. Just touching, obviously, you mentioned the practice game on Friday, which Sutton won 2-0 against Ebbsfleet, who you last season had some misfortunes in the league against. How was that game? Because obviously it was behind closed doors, so none of us saw it, but seeing as you're the only source for true information, how was that game and what impressed you about that?
Yeah, I think both clubs really used it to give players who probably hadn't played loads of minutes recently some valuable game time. So, I was very pleased with how we sort of rotated it around and gave everyone the relevant minutes we felt they needed. Callum Keeley took his goal very well. Omar Bugel popped up with the second. We managed to keep a clean sheet, got valuable minutes into Ben Gullif and Louis John, as well as many other players. So it was a very useful and pleasing exercise. No injuries picked up in that, which is another bonus. And it was at the right time for us against a good opposition who used it similar to us. So it was a very worthwhile exercise.
Excellent. Touching, before we get to the games on Saturday, we have to obviously applaud Harry Beautyman getting to a half century last time out against Yeovil. You obviously commented there and then, but just wanted you to pay tribute to him after reaching a big landmark for the club, and how important he is to Sutton's fortunes, not only on the pitch, but he has such a huge fan base following him. No matter where he goes, he's a well-loved member of the team, and there's never a sore day where anyone doesn't talk about him. So Harry's been a key member for you and a massive part in Sutton's fortunes in the last 18 months for you, especially since you came in. How have you valued him as a player at Sutton?
Goes without saying, Ahmed, he's been absolutely different class for me since obviously since I've come to the club, but probably even more so since I was manager. It's his second spell at the club. 2 great spells, full of energy, great quality, assists, goal threats. He's been outstanding, and to score what he did last season was phenomenal. I can tell in the way he's been around the place, a little bit frustrated not to get off and running. This season he had a couple of chances in early games. I remember Maidenhead, Aldershot, and certainly at Weymouth he had chances to get up and run in. I could tell the frustration was probably building in there a little bit, but I'm very pleased he got off the mark at Yeovil the other night. A very well taken goal. Maybe could have had one more in the first half, and then steps up coolly again from the penalty spot and slots one away. So he's been a huge bonus to me. He's very mature, experienced, good talker, good leader. He's of a great age, and he's a massive impact into this squad, both on and off the pitch. And I'll get on really well with Harry, and he's my vice captain. And hopefully those goals are the first of many again for this season.
Fantastic, and we'll be talking to Harry later on the channel, so keep an eye on that one. So finally, I'm sure this will be your itches to talk about the next 2 games. Both of them, crucially, are at home, and I don't think Sutton leave the M25 in November, obviously with the FA Cup now being put out of the way. The trophy is coming up, but 2 massive games against Kings Lynn at home and against Daggers and Redbridge. We'll start with Kings Lynn. Obviously, they're new to the league, but they are still a very competitive team. Some very good players in that side. I've watched them against Yeovil, and they seem to really take them on, give them a very difficult game. How have you assessed them so far this season, particularly against Port Vale in the FA Cup?
Yeah, a team which is always in the early stages of a season when they've come up as champions of the National North. There's going to be that momentum with them. That they on BT Sport on the opening day had a good performance and I suppose a good result against Yeovil for their first game of the season against the team who's just lost in the playoffs a month or 2 earlier. So they've hit the ground running for a couple of results. They then dipped, but they came back. I went and watched them against Woking, where they came from behind 2-1 to win 3-2, and then go and get an absolute fantastic win on Saturday against Port Vale away. And back that up with a really good draw from as well, away to Portsmouth at Fratton Park. So I'm sure they'll be absolutely delighted with their back-to-back wins and their FA Cup draw, and they'll be full of confidence. And it'll be another extremely tough game for us against a good team, and we'll have to be right on our mettle to try and stop them and stop their threats and try and impose ourselves on them. It certainly will be a tough game on Saturday, no doubt.
Yeah. And on to Tuesday following that, I feel like we're getting used to playing them on a more regular basis. We met Daggers and Redbridge 4 times last season in 2 different competitions with mixed fortunes in both. I believe we lost twice to them, drew once and won 1. The key one being the away trip in November by 2-1. That night was quite interesting. We had that very long evening in the FA Trophy where we sadly lost 3-2, having done very well to get in front in extra time. But we've had some mixed fortunes against our Daggers and Redbridge side in the past. But this season, it's all different. It's all new, different circumstances. I'm sure this time you will be able to give them more of a challenge and hopefully get a positive result.
Yeah, there's certainly different games from last year. We obviously now have got a new manager, some big investment coming into the club, some big summer signings. They have been hit with injuries. They've had some key players out. I think those players are coming back now. So yes, again, it'll be certainly a very, very tough test for us and a tough game against Dagenham on Tuesday night. But first and foremost, I'm very much concentrating on Kings Lynn. Kings Lynn on Saturday, and then once Sunday morning comes, we'll be straight on to Dagenham. I watched them play at home to Yeovil when I was watching Yeovil on one of our weekends off a few weeks ago. So I've already managed to see them live. I watched their BT Sport game against Wealdstone at home as well. So I've seen them a couple of times this season. But the focus, as I've said, is very much on Kings Lynn. Then we'll be concentrating on Dagenham on Sunday morning to see where they're at with their squad and their injuries, and preparing properly as we always do to try and get ourselves the result.
Certainly a huge task ahead of you in these next few games. But Matt, hopefully wish you all the best, and we'll see you very soon.
Lovely. Thanks a lot, Ahmed. Cheers.
Cheers, Matt.